Hello, Tottenham fans. Apologies for this late match reaction from the Tottenham Newcastle game. There's a few things I want to talk about, as I've seen a lot of other YouTubers having their say on this. I just wanted to have my say on this. Hopefully, we all have had a really good New Year. I don't know when we can stop saying Happy New Year. I think it's the 5th today or something. Um, I'll just say, have you had a good New Year from now on instead of Happy New Year? 2025 hasn't started brilliantly results wise for Spurs. And everything seems to be against us at the moment. Talking points, I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about that handball. Was it a handball? I want to talk about Brandon Austin's performance. I want to talk about Regulon's resurgence. I want to talk about the fact that we have no centre backs whatsoever. I want to talk about what this shows us about Ange Postecoglou, what it shows us about him as a manager. Should Ange have subbed Bergvall because he was playing so goddamn well? And the performance as a whole for the team, I just want to talk about as well. Because for me, I think it was a very, very good performance. I want to start off by saying, though, about the performance is yes, we lost. Yes, 10 losses is not good enough. But you cannot knock the side for that performance they put in against Newcastle. We had 11 players training this week. There's injuries all over the place. Everybody had a bug. Most players had the bug. Even players that played against Newcastle, by the way, had a bug, and I'll get into that in a minute. Um, we had decisions go against us, and we still should have won that game, in my opinion. So fair play to the boys, man. They really made me proud. The way, they didn't give up. They didn't just down tools. Ange must be doing something right there, and I'll get into that as well soon. So was that a handball? So in my opinion, it's not the ref's fault. It's not VAR's fault. It's the laws and the rules around handball. It's so confusing for fans that we just don't understand what a handball is anymore. Like for our perspective, that was a handball that led to a goal, so it should have been ruled out. That's what our perspective is. Newcastle's perspective is his hand was close to his body, therefore it was ball to hand, which is also a good argument. But for me, if you're going to allow someone to score after using their hand to block a pass and it leads to a goal, then that's opened a can of worms now. Because if that happens again in another game and it gets disallowed, I am going to be fuming. But at the end of the day, a handball was it wasn't a handball. The referee made a decision and we conceded. Yeah, it's the way it is. I don't even blame Bergvall. He tried to make a pass, and if he didn't hit Matey's hand, the pass would have got to the Polo. I think he was passing it to. It maybe could have passed it inside to Kulu, but it's easy to say after, isn't it? So, what did I think of Brandon Austin's performance? What did you think of Brandon Austin's performance? I thought Brandon Austin's performance was exceptional. And the reason why I'm saying it's exceptional, not because he made fantastic saves all day, it was because he was so comfortable with corners. He was targeted by all those Newcastle players. He was strong. He pushed them out of the way. He came out to punch. He came out to catch 3 times as well, which is phenomenal for somebody who's been there for 10 years and not even had a start. That was his debut. He made some good saves as well. Don't get me wrong; he was good with his feet. We've just signed a new goalkeeper. I'll get into that in a bit. But we just signed a new goalkeeper, and Brandon Austin has just showed us now how good he is. That was a very, very good performance from a very inexperienced goalkeeper. I was very, very proud of him. I was rooting for him. Sky Sports gave him the man of the match, but he wasn't my man of the match, but he would have been close. But I'll get into my man of the match in a bit. So the resurrection of Regulon. Well, Regulon was not supposed to be here. It was supposed to be sold, but he came in because we got injury to your doggy. Jed Spence was suspended in the last game, so he came in for the last game. And then I think Dragushin had to go off. And the reason, by the way, everybody, Dragushin went off was not because he was injured. It's because he was playing after recovering from a bug sickness. And you could tell a million miles off that he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't feeling right. So he did well to get to half time, to be honest. And I think, that second goal we let in where he was just out of position, he looked drained. And I'm not blaming him for that goal. I'm not blaming, these players are playing under a lot of stress, especially when you're ill, like against a very informed Newcastle side, by the way. So Reguilon had to come in at left back and Jed Spence went to centre back. So and Reguilon played very, very well. Reguilon put in a good performance, and this just annoys me a little bit because we didn't have to play Doggy the other day. When Doggy got injured because he was knackered and he ended up pulling a hamstring when Reguilon could have been played in that position. Maybe Postecoglou didn't realise how good Reguilon was. The fact we didn't have no centre backs, and this brings me up to Jed Spence and Archie Gray. In the second half, we didn't concede with Jed Spence and Archie Gray as centre backs. Let that sink in. We're playing an in-form Newcastle, who at the time have won 5 in a row. They've won 6 now, but they've won 5 in a row. They've got Isaac, who's on fire, who's now scored 7 goals in 7 games. They've got Anthony Gordon, who's on form. Murphy, who's on form. All these, the counter-attacking of Newcastle is exceptional. They are a very, very strong, on form, very good side. And we had Spence and Archie Gray at centre back. Remember, Archie Gray's not even left footed and he's playing left centre back while Spence is playing right centre back. And Newcastle didn't score a goal. I thought they played very, very well. Yes, Spence dribbled a bit too much for my liking and lost the ball a couple of times. Well, lucky he got fouled, otherwise he would have lost the ball. But he was really good. He was really good at centre back. And this takes me to this shows what Ange is like as a manager. These players are clearly playing for Ange. They're clearly putting 100% in. They could not have played any better than they did against Newcastle. We didn't get the result that we deserved. We should have won the game. Like I said, Newcastle were highly on form, and we dominated them in the second half. We really were. We were tired. You could see that the bug was affecting the squad. I think the subs that he brought on were good. I'll get into that with Bergvall in a minute. I think Maddison, Basuma, and Sonny made an impact when they came on. It was a very, very good performance, and Ange has definitely got us on side. And if Ange can get that kind of performance out of a team with all the injuries, all the sick bug, and the decisions going against us as well, and he got a performance like that out of him, can you imagine what he can do when you give him the team and the squad? I'm starting to, really believe in this manager. So speaking of Ange, should he have subbed Bergvall? Well, in my opinion, no. Bergvall was probably our best midfielder on the day, running at their defence any chance he got. He was good on the ball. He was tackling hard. He was getting in. He was getting stuck in. He was aerial duels. He was good. Remember, he's 6'1", I think he is. So his aerial duels were good. He was good on the ball. He was charging at their defence. That's the best game I've seen Bergvall play for us by a country mile. It was brilliant from Bergvall. Absolute brilliant. And I think Ange took him off, just to bring fresh legs on. It wasn't nothing to do with his performance, not at all. So the performance in the whole was, for me, because of the circumstances, the performance was exceptional. I was proud to be a Spurs fan with all that against us, and the fans, they were so behind Spurs. They really wanted them to do well. They were really pushing them on. And it was really good to see that, the closeness of this Spurs squad is still there. It could have easily just fell apart because of what's happened this season. Yes, 10 defeats in 20 games is really, really poor. It is. But there is circumstances around that. There's lots of circumstances of why we're losing so many games at the moment. Looking forward, we've got Liverpool on Wednesday. We've got Arsenal coming up in the league next as well, but I think we've got Tamworth before that. Hopefully we can have a couple of players back for that game. But I'll tell you what, if we put in a performance like we did against Newcastle, we will give Arsenal a very, very good game. I'm telling you that now. Let me know in the comments what you thought. By the way, Spurs have just signed a new goalkeeper as well. I need to do a video on that as well. I'll probably do that tomorrow because I want to know a bit more about him. I know he's 6'3". I know he's a Czech Republic under 21 player. I think he's come. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't know much about him. I'm going to do that in the next video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Tottenham's performance. I don't care about the Ange and Ange out at the moment. I just care about that performance as a singular performance. It was very, very good. I'm very proud of the boys, and come on, you Spurs.